But it's only in the last 5 years that there's a realization that travels and weddings go hand in hand. Because when it's weddings, we not only celebrate, we also travel with. Can I just request some silence there? We also travel with people we love, and therefore platforms like this are a wonderful opportunity for the wedding ecosystem, particularly WeddingSutra favorites, and tourism boards, hotel chains, and the travel fraternity members to engage and learn more. And what's very interesting, I've noticed also post-COVID, is the number of travel experts who are venturing into the world of weddings. As I often say, weddings in India are a way of life, and almost every creative entrepreneur, even if he's not a wedding planner, is doing something wedding related. If he's the car rental business, weddings are a very, very important part of his work. If he's a travel agent, you of course know about honeymoons. Beyond that, it's now also about room bookings. So I'd like to call on stage right now to share what all of you are really looking forward to hearing about is a little more about what to look forward in 2024, the planner's story, and many other elements of the big fat Indian wedding and the slim and smart wedding, as I call it. So first, I'd like to have Kaveri Vij, who's the co-founder of Designer Events. Kaveri is a hotelier turned wedding planner, and she orchestrates a lot of destination weddings, and now she's based between Delhi and Dubai. Yeah, best of two worlds. Yeah. Karan Soorma, the co-founder of Morani Soorma. Karan has done a lot of work in the area of influencer marketing, and I don't think he planned to get into weddings immediately, but I think he started really liking the world of weddings, and he has orchestrated some very high-profile destination weddings, and of course, many in Bombay. Devanshi Patel is the founder of Shreem Events. Devanshi has done a lot of work in the area of film marketing, and later on, and of course, very large-scale Bollywood events, and then she ventured into weddings, and one of her most high-profile weddings was the one which she managed of Parthip Thyagarajan at Raffles Udaipur. Arindam Chakraborty, the Chief Operating Officer of Catering Collective. Arindam has been a hotelier. He's worked with many distinguished chains, and currently he is with the Catering Collective, which is really, and he's really managing the outdoor catering and the banquet spaces and some of their banquets include Lucy, one of the most popular wedding venues in Bombay, and Araya Bagh, which is the newest hotspot in Delhi NCR. So we are now, what everybody wants to know about is, the first thing is whenever I meet someone who wants to venture into weddings, particularly, he's an international hotelier. And the first question Karan he usually asks me is, what is it that I need to know about Indian weddings when it comes from a venue lens? So if you are meeting a venue for the first time, what are some of the key things which you tell them are very important for your client?
So the first thing is, can you hear me?
Yeah.
The first thing is Indian weddings are very noisy. Very boisterous.
But you're very soft-spoken, Karan.
I mean, that's not being able to. But noisy, boisterous, they love taking over hotels. So I think that's one thing hotels need to be prepared for.
Sure.
I think a lot of hotels may or may not be prepared for that, because I see a lot of hotels built for luxury travel, FIT travel, suddenly being converted into wedding hotels.
Sure.
And I think what happens is, one is the infrastructure may not be suitable, and then the staff is not aligned. So I think that's very important to have everyone on the same page that we're getting into this, and we all need to be on the same page. The second most important thing, and I think it's quite universal, is food.
Yes.
Especially for international weddings, I think food is a big challenge, and for a lot of clients, caterers go down. I mean, we have a lot amongst us right now. Is a cost that they wouldn't like to bear. So I think food, getting used to the Indian palate, it's very peculiar. something like that is very important. So I think these are the two most critical aspects because Indian weddings are crazy. Like we just did a wedding in Jaipur. We took over the bar. I should say this aloud. We took over the hotel, bar, not mentioning the hotel, and made a party out of it till 5:30 in the morning. These are the lobby bars. So I mean, people do these things. You got to be open to it. Yeah. So I think that flexibility is very important.
Great. I think you summed it up very well. It's not just big fat; it's the big fat noisy wedding. Great. Kaveri, one of the things which I'm sure every publication asks you, every bride asks you, and every family asks you, top trends kya hai 2024 ka? Huh? I know it's so difficult to summarize that when you are, especially there's so many elements to a wedding, but what are some of the interesting stuff which you can see for 2024?
Okay, so Parthip, I have a very different perspective to this because when you understand, we do intimate and boutique weddings. For us, trends are not something that you find on Pinterest or Instagram. It's something which is called as an experience, something which is a lifestyle, something which you can live, and something which is very personalized to the couple and to the family. Luxury was an unaffordable commodity till a few years ago. It has become a choice where people want to choose what they actually want to do with regards to weddings. So when you say trends, Parthip, I would like to summarize that as a personalized approach to what your wedding actually needs to look like, because at the end it's the family and the couple, the bride and the groom, who have dreamt of this day since the longest time. So I don't think anyone needs to follow trends ever. It needs to be what do people actually want on the day, whether it's getting married probably in a jungle or in a palatial land, whatever it is, it needs to be what that dream defines for them.
How nice. The biggest trend is that there will not be any trend.
Absolutely.
And
I don't believe in
what
trends.
the wedding business is all about is that it's more and more personalized, which also means this is not a scalable business. This is not a business where technology can take over, which is why when you have relationships, either as a planner, as a wedding vendor, as a hotel or a general manager, those relationships is what is going to it's going to give you further business, though it also means that you cannot move from 10 weddings to 100 weddings. You can go on from 10 weddings to 20 weddings, provided that's if you have a good business partner like Karan, he can go up to 20. But for those who are managing alone, it's going to be personalized all the way. How nice.
Technology is a big catalyst in helping all of us do the personalization and handle the back-end work as well.
I would love Devanshi to elaborate. Technology as a catalyst.
So I feel for technology, there are different type of lot of AI features coming in now.
Okay.
Like everyone must be aware about ChatGPT, which is the most basic one. But just like that, there's something for invites also called Invite GPT. There's something for the food which helps you with menus. There's something for the brides which help them align and schedule out, what exactly they want, what they want to prioritize. So I feel that technology, like Kaveri said, that it's a big back-end force which kind of helps us to also keep moving further without having like hundreds of people traveling for the same thing again and again. There used to be a time when people used to go with planners, like there used to be 40 packs team going to handle just the RSVP process or just the hospitality process. It's not the same anymore. Like, a lot of things has been controlled by technology and then it's become compact, but the personal touch is never going to.
So technology is really helping people travel more, just as how, but again, if you look at the top travel agents, they're only further curating the experience.
But certainly there are like different apps which are coming in which will help you make an itinerary for like 10 days basis your interest. You just got to choose the kind of activities you like to do or your preferences, and I think it's also a help to the travel agents to use this as a data. Yeah.
So what you're really summarizing is technology is playing a big role, but it's only further personalizing, and it is only probably going to kind of inspire more people to only travel further. So that's great news. So therefore, because the whole operations will become easy, and as far as the clients are concerned, they'll be happier that you'll be taking a smaller team, because we all know that it's an interesting world. There are a lot of things for which the clients are very happy to spend without batting an eyelid, but they are always looking for many cost-effective solutions from the Kaveris, Karans and Devanshis of the world. Over to you, Arindam. Arindam, you have been a hotelier always, and what has been your what has been your biggest learning about the wedding industry since you have been a part of this, the Catering Collective, for whom weddings are a very important segment, both as venue as well as catering. Yeah.
Thank you, Parthip, first of all, for the opportunity to be here and part of this distinguished panel. I think the biggest learning for me has been to, unfortunately, there's some hoteliers in the room, no offense to them, but in hotels we always used to talk about the grids that followed, so-called menu grids that followed guest requirement. So I think the biggest learning for me moving to the other side is that no grid, like just building up on what Kaveri said, that no grid can supersede the need for personalization of an event, and that should be the driving principle or the vision when you're looking at events, especially weddings happening at hotels or a venue or anywhere else. That's number one. I think digitization, I completely agree with what Devanshi said. It's only going to be a catalyst and make our jobs and lives a little simpler. Just a small example that at Catering Collective, we are moving away from tags, which is a huge pointer of sustainability angle also that we want to look at. So we're going on LED boards, making sure that all the printing is going down by X percentage. That's number one. We have also tied up with an agency to kind of, measure our carbon footprint every time we travel to another city for a big ticket wedding or a destination event, and help us come up with ways to mitigate the carbon footprint. So those are some of the things that I think are going to be interesting ideas that is going to help us get more responsible in the way that we're doing business. And that is what it is, an open platform, and I am having a very good time.
I think what Arindam really spoke about, which is something which has really has been talked about in the last couple of years, is sustainability. And that's, there are a lot of things where a wedding cannot be sustainable on some counts. But what I've heard very interesting is the moment a hospitality brand or even a wedding decor person positions sustainability as a part of their DNA, it is something which commands a premium. Whether it's about water consumption in the washrooms, it's about more light counters instead of the long buffets, or about what the hotel is doing in the rooms for either for recycling. It's all something which rings that connect with next gen and millennials. And if anything, the story only helps in their marketing positioning, if I can put it very bluntly. Since our topic, Karan, is really around weddings and travel, so we've really had an overview. We've talked about the fact that the big trend is that there's no trend. We've talked about the sustainable angle. We've talked about what venues must know, and we've talked a little about technology. And I think all this requires a lot of, a lot much more time, but this was an overview. But when you talk of weddings and travel, how far are your clients willing to travel when it comes to a destination wedding, Karan?
This is a tricky question. So, now I don't think a lot of our Indian clients can travel very far. So,
I'm not going to ask why. Yeah.
But there are some. Essentially, comfort is very important to guests. So, I think there is a certain while people are open to explore, there's certain limitation that does come in. No one wants connecting flights. No one wants long car journeys. So, in India, I think a direct flight plus 1.5 hours is very fair.
Within India,
yes. If you're looking at, that's sort of where they sort of draw the line at.
Sure.
Some people, then otherwise, if you go to your dressing as the charter flights, but they want that convenience.
Sure.
So I think and internationally as well, I think a direct flight is extremely important. So I think wherever you do, that because you're taking 300 guests, 400 guests, 600 guests, you're making them. You're hosting them for 2 nights or 3 nights. There is jet lag, it's a real thing, there's traffic fatigue. So I think there is a limit to which you can push the guests more than, I mean, unless it's really intimate and people are willing to make that extra effort, there is a limit to what you can do. Like I said, we just did a 600-person wedding in Jaipur, but the guest list was 1,200. So only 50% really turned up, and the client was from Europe.
Okay.
So there is.
It was a 600, and you mean including the crew, it was 12.
No, 1,200 was a guest list. 600 turned up.
Oh wow!
So and all the clients were from Europe, so there is a limit.
Sure. I think a lot was different post COVID, where people were very happy to travel, and then again
now there's a little bit of that. You can see a little bit of fatigue kicking in. At least the guests. I mean, we do a lot of NRI weddings. So and NRI weddings, they spend for their own hotels.
Yes.
Right. So I met a friend of mine. So he said I attend 5 weddings a year. I spend £30,000 on it just to attend it.
Just to attend. But this does not include if it's a she, then there's of course the wardrobe thing, right? Yeah. With guys we can recycle our black.
Exactly. Nobody cares. Not looking at you.
Great. So Karan has shared something very interesting. If you have guests who are flying from far, there's a lot of chance that there could be cancellations, and within India 1.5 hours. And if you're going to be taking guests abroad, of course avoid the transfers.
I think about 6 hours, 8 hours.
6 hours, 8 hours, where you can
Mauritius. I mean, all of that is.
So there's a very interesting insight here. Again, we were doing an event with IHG. What a planner told us is that now the grandparents are much older. There was a time when, say the Marwari families, the grandmother would be 60 years old. So you can do the math. Daughter 40 years and then, granddaughter 20 years. So today, the average age of the grandparents is 80 to 85. And they are healthy. But we also know that the grandparents are the most important people. I mean, for Arindam, his first job would be to look after the grandparents. The youngsters are not eating. He can delegate that job to the bar people. But that also means that when your grandparents are older, you do not want to travel.
That's true. We've actually faced that all the grandparents.
So now we come to, Karan has spoken about the travel distance. So I'd like to really come to Devanshi. What is the typical format for your clients, which is number of days, room nights, because you're doing Indians and NRIs, destination, but typically for a destination wedding, what is the format?
So usually it is about 2 nights, 3 days, unless the destination is really far or the guests are coming from different parts of the country or the world. That's when, and always for the main host family, it is always 30 rooms 1 day prior, which becomes that easy.
It's called easy, right?
Yes.
These are some very interesting terms.
Yeah, exactly. At the end, it keeps increasing once we have the RSVPs closer. And also, there are times when the guests want to book pre and post days as well, if it is a far off destination, so that they could also enjoy being there a little more. Usually, for the main entire guest list to come in, it's about 2 nights, 3 days at max. Unless, like I told you, it's 3 nights.
Sure.
And the rooming nights, usually people go for buyouts. So
Okay.
we're looking at about 200 to 250 people for these days.
Most of your weddings are 250 packs.
250 to 300.
250 to 300, which means about 125.
Yes, 125 to maximum 200, including the vendors.
Okay, and which could be, in those cases, 2 hotels which are close by. Which really?
Yes. Usually now the problem has become that everyone's looking for one hotel, even if it is vendors, because the
Sure.
makeup artist really wants the room next to the bride. Even the photographer and the planner.
The planner could not be but the photographer and the makeup artist have to
Yes,
be. Yeah.
yes. The room right next to the bride.
So you got the formula: 2 nights, 3 days,
3 days.
125 rooms,
125.
and typically it's 250 guests and 300 if you include
Yes.
the vendors who will also be staying. So that's what
an average
every hotel
size.
must know. So Karan has talked about this distance, and Devanshi, anything changed in terms of functions or the format?
I mean, yes, I would not deny that. And we always, as Shreem Events as well, we are into unconventional weddings.
Sure.
So we like to push.
Can you tell us something a little about unconventional wedding? Because you know the format, right? Welcome dinner, ends with reception. Anything different you have done or are doing?
So we try to finish the wedding on day one.
Okay.
And the day two becomes more like a party where even the bride, groom and their parents are free to party out.
Okay.
So we tried this concept in a couple of weddings and it turned out.
So that's actually a trend. No matter how much we say there are no trends, that is a trend.
That is a trend, I would say. Also, the Western culture has got a lot more, into our traditions. I see a lot of Marwadi brides also, or Hindu brides also doing a white wedding.
Right.
So that's kind of, it's just what you dream of in terms of your wedding. It's not
Influence as well.
exactly
Information that we
Yes.
have.
that we have, definitely.
Great.
So I think that, a lot of things have changed over the years, especially after COVID, where people don't want to miss any chance.
Okay.
Like if this is what I have in my mind, I just want to do it. It's okay
Sure.
if it doesn't match my tradition or concept. In fact, we just did a wedding in Kanchak where we had no fairas. The
Okay.
bride and the groom, we had to sit down together and make an own ceremony for the wedding.
Okay. So they wrote their own books.
Yeah, so they said that this is our institution. So I actually recommended them an idea where we take the sacred thread and then that was kind of given to everyone to bless it. And their grandparents, because they couldn't fly to US, we did that in Kanchak.
Okay.
And they had to kind of, they wrote the vows for the couple,
The grandparents.
the grandparents.
How
So that's how we said that it's okay, this is what it means to us as a wedding.
that's what you talk of personalization.
Yes.
You know, Kaveri, you do the Delhi clients who want the big fat weddings, and you also have a lot of NRI clients who small is beautiful. So we'd love to know from you about this intimate weddings and big fat weddings. How, as a planner, is I know it's very different, obviously, but how is it? What is it? What is really different as a planner?
Okay, it's going to be difficult for me to comment on the big fat Indian weddings. I'll let that room comment on the other two planners over here. But for intimate weddings, Parthip, I feel is that the whole process is very personalized because me as a wedding planner and a designer, I am personally involved at every step. And I think that makes a very big difference, and that's what the ideology of the company has always been. I was in conversation with someone at Sofitel Bharin at networking events that you had organized, and they said that, why can't you do the same thing for 600 people? What's the big deal? Maybe there isn't, but Kaveri cannot be there for 600 people for sure. But this way, I know for a fact that the 100 or the 120 people, when they walk out and they check out, they would remember who Kaveri and Akshay are, and that's always been the whole point. And I think the very fact that India lacked the vision of what an intimate boutique wedding was. India's always, anyone talks about India till date, it's big fat Indian weddings, and I love that about our country. But when we started out 10 years ago, there was no one to address the fact and go shout out in the market that, you know what, it's okay to have a 100 people wedding as well, and it's acceptable, and you can choose the guest list, because the entire process, the entire planning, the entire journey is so personal to everyone being there that it's a whole different experience altogether.
What is very interesting is someone wants to have a 100-pax wedding in a Goa or Rajasthan. You can hardly recommend any properties.
No, there are lots. There are lots of boutique properties.
But there are not many 5 stars. And if the couple is planning to get married on 14th February, there's only a 1% chance that they'll get that venue. Right?
That is the fact with NRI families as well, Parthip, that especially post-COVID, people have started to move away from the Murat dates, so that's a very good thing, and they stop believing in the
So that's
fact that...
trend too.
I think that's not a trend, that is a situation, inculcated, demand that has arisen where people are accepting that it's okay to let go of the Murat dates as well. And I just want to add to what Karan said initially about the venues and the comfort, and I'm totally on the same page. But you can never take out the Indianness in Indians when they say, where do we get a new venue from? So if you're able to pen down something on the world map where the world hasn't seen it, especially for Indians in India, I think that's also a very, very important game to discover for a wedding planner. This is the necessity of what you said, but the other side, I think the Indians would always want it.
Talking about destinations, Arindam, have you been seeing in terms of what you're talking to a lot of clients who are planning weddings all over? Anything interesting in terms of what have you been seeing in destinations which continue to be popular in 2024?
The top five have definitely gone sold for this season. So Goa is out, mostly all are booked, and with the top man saying that do your weddings in India. So I think Agra is out mostly. Jaipur that was finished. Hardly any inventory left. Then Kerala, again problem.
Kerala has marketed themselves very well, but they don't have much of inventory.
But I think moving forward, some places where I have heard guests head to is Bilaspur.
Yeah.
Then there is Indore. A lot of demand for Hyderabad. For sure.
Yeah. Indore is of course popular for one of the first vegetarian 5-star hotels.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think the Northeast is again a destination that people are looking at. The only problem being that not too much of hotels around to support that demand. Ayodhya in coming days would definitely.
Sure. Very. Someone just has to. I'm just wondering who the wedding planner who is going to set up an office in Ayodhya. Yes.
So hotels have been announced, as you know. Taj has announced, I think, 3 properties there.
Sure.
ITC and so the Leela too. So I think that is going to the development of venues further in 2 tier cities is going to be influenced by the infrastructure development in those places, road connectivity, because a lot of people are traveling by road for these, and I think obviously the government's push on this particular segment to open a single window for licenses is also something that is required. And I'm sure that that is going to kind of spur this growth in this particular segment. So while we are looking at some of the venues, I mean Hyderabad is one on the cards for us for sure.
Bangalore has done very well in 2023.
That's why Hyderabad I can service Bangalore from Hyderabad.
Great.
So then
I'm sure I think Arindam is starting a new venue in Hyderabad. He's plugging Hyderabad a lot.
Absolutely. Calcutta, for that matter. Sure. We're looking at the venues in Calcutta. Goa, not successful.
Arindam's answer has been about the fact that you can't even now differentiate between cities and destinations because everybody is now in the absence of adequate venues in these destinations. You make your hometown wedding a destination.
Right.
Inputs from Devanshi. What have your brides been asking you about? Which are the destinations they are showing interest in, from the regular to the offbeat?
Regular ones are obviously the Rajasthan and the Goa.
Yeah.
All the planners here, I'm sure one of the wedding in the year would be one of these locations for sure.
Sure.
And then the other request that we're getting is something in the north, but we're not getting hotels or easy road connectivity there.
Okay.
Like, there should be something which is from the airport, just like in half an hour far, then people would prefer that.
Sure.
Otherwise, it's getting a little difficult for people to choose that venue because of senior citizens, kids, people traveling from abroad, etc. A lot of people are asking for offbeat venues like, probably like a Jim Corbett. We've gotten requests where they can do it between the wild. Also, a lot of foreigners, when they come in, they are really looking forward to see a lot of wildlife, a lot of traditional things in India. Like how Rajasthan was kicked up with the entire
palace weddings.
Palace venues. I just recently did my sister's wedding as well, and that was in the stud farm that we owned.
Nice.
So, now people are trying to inculcate that, okay, we don't need a venue as such, let's try and see what we can do with what we really have. And it took a lot of effort to change that venue and how it looks to a wedding venue and keeping the charm as well. But like a 2,000 people event over there becomes difficult. But now that was the best choice they felt. So they don't have to transport around 200 people to a destination or take them even nearby. It's just there. So I think people have started changing their thought processes when it comes to wedding. Nobody's traditionally thinking, oh, we need to get married in this banquet or this hotel, or just because Udaipur is very famous to get married, we get married there. Everyone's happy to explore. Rishikesh is the new one which is coming up.
Sure. So these are the ones in the north, beyond Rajasthan. Karan, which are the destinations for your clients which have been talked about for 24 and 25?
So I think so one destination I mentioned actually to you earlier also, and we're doing at least one this year is Kashmir.
Nice.
Again, two properties. So
You've already done a wedding.
We've done, yeah. So that was a couple.
Which this was at the Lalit and
No, that was at the Taj, but now we're looking at a combination of the Lalit and the Taj. So at least one for sure, and maybe one more, because there's a lot of weddings that are coming up in July in the monsoon. So we're just looking at where does it rain the least, to be honest. And Bangalore sold up.
The all year good weather destination. Bangalore is probably the only destination which is all year good weather.
So I think the other option that we're considering, I mean, we're doing one for sure, but one more we're considering is in Kashmir. I think it's exciting, it's different, the food is a challenge, infrastructure is a challenge. But I think over the years I've seen more and more happening there, so I think that's one to look at. And I believe there's a lot of development also taking place. So again, another one is Dehradun, I think.
Yes.
Dehradun, Rishikesh, the Hyatt, and the Westin. I think those are slightly more exciting at the moment.
Sure. Kaveri, I'm sure you're going to talk a little about the Middle East.
I would like to talk about India first, and
Yes, sure.
where the roots are. So the first would, of course, be super offbeat. We're doing a wedding towards the end of Feb in an old age home in Mathura, which is 2 hours away from Agra. So that's a very new thing that we're doing, and it's super exciting. The next one is Bhutan, which is also like an experience for us to plan.
The land of happiness.
Yes, exactly. And the other one is working, I mean, it's not a wedding, but working very closely with a wedding venue in Japan for it to become wedding friendly. So, and to know that how they can actually support Indian weddings, it's very exciting as a journey to actually know that they also know so much about our culture and our rituals, and they're very interested, like how we've discussed Vietnam and Bali, and I had never heard Japan, so yes, that is another one.
What is very interesting about PM Modi's statement is that one, the way people perceive the industry is very different. Like I've been invited by the Consul General based in New York to talk about wedding in India. Now, who would have imagined that the consulates and embassies would be doing sessions? Usually they're about the trade in India and export. Never is about weddings. And the second is the very fact that I keep saying that today, if you look at even the upper income segment, only 10% are having a destination wedding, and out of those, only 10% have been going abroad. But most important, what it does for the promotion and the buzz it creates in those countries is what has motivated Prime Minister Modi. But that has only got all the international tourism boards even more interested in the Indian wedding. And because for those who are the tourism board marketers, hotel chain marketers, what is it finally that you as a wedding planner and what the client is doing? They are getting 400 of the ultra wealthy Indians to come and to inviting them, and these are the same people, same guests who stay on for holidays, shopping, explore business opportunities. So that's really what it's not about the numbers. It's finally how many. There will be about 600 to 700 weddings happening abroad. Not a big number if you look at the millions of weddings which happen in our country, but the impact that has and the dialogues which happen in digital communities. Which hotel did you stay at? The same individual who is not going to post anything on social media about his business trips or his holidays is sharing something on the most influential WhatsApp groups where 400 of his wealthiest friends are, who all will ask for his recommendation on where to stay in a Vietnam or a Japan. We just have around 5 minutes for a quick Q&A, and then we move on to the next panel discussion, which is a little more on venue insights. Please go ahead, sir. Kindly introduce yourself also, if possible. Sanket, if you can just help us with this. Yeah, yes.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kishore Rawat. I represent Egypt in India here. My query would be offbeat. For the destinations overseas, how could we as an airline add value to the whole planning of airline?
Very good questions.
And Egypt, how is the tourism being promoted like from Shalom Sheikh or other old destinations or maybe pyramids and all that. So how we can add our values that as an airline, what I'm saying. Thank you.
I think it's the air costs are a very significant factor when it comes to deciding. So, but that could not be the only. For example, Singapore airfares are very reasonable, but that doesn't mean Singapore is a destination very much. But Turkey airfares are quite expensive. But it's interesting that the guests are paying for the tickets. So the room is more important than the room rates are more important. But I think if the airline plays a little proactive role in offering it has certain special offers and is able to facilitate charters. Yeah. So Karan, would you like to elaborate?
Yeah. Thanks so much.
Yeah, I think here what happens is I don't know how many routes you fly out, but I think most Indian weddings, from India would be about 300, 400 people. One plane isn't sufficient in that case, one aircraft. So giving that supplemental support, because connectivity is important. So there's some destinations, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, where you've got 10, 15, 20 flights a day. So when you've just got one flight, even Mauritius, Egypt, in our case, this is a one flight, 160, 200 seats, it does get limiting in that sense also. Or if it's just a few days a week. So I think getting that additional aircraft available for more guests is important. It's a big goal.
Alright, as of now, we have 5 flights out of Bombay and 4 flights out of Delhi. So,
which destination?
Egypt, anywhere in Europe, going there.
But this is a week, right?
Sorry,
per week.
Per week.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Two flights, because if it's 300 people have to go, you need 2 flights.
For that, should I get connected to you in case we're Thanks so much.
Yeah. Sure. Kindly introduce yourself.
Good afternoon all. My name is Ria from Renasong Bali Uluwatu. Thank you, Mrs. Kaveri is already talked about Bali. I have a one question. When the wedding planner is in India, and then if they receive the inquiry from the client, what you guys first thinking about? Are you guys first thing to do is contact the hotel directly, or you guys looking for somebody that a ground handling there? Of course, you will not bring all your team from the India going to, for example, Bali. But I just want to know which contacted you first. That you contact for the destination wedding. Thank you so much.
So I would say that it would be both. The initial research on the part of an Indian wedding planner of understanding what the place is about is very essential, and having a ground support over there is equally important as well, because the way you would understand the place, maybe we would not, right? And the pros, the cons, the goods, the bads, what you could do, because you've been there, done that, and let's say I'm doing a wedding over there for the first time. So the experience you have, I might not have when I'm doing my first wedding. So for us, having that ground support, that one point of contact, let's say a DMC, is very important when we're doing an international wedding especially. But on the other hand, for me as a company, we also like to do research on our own end, because there are certain things that you understand about a market when you do wedding for the first time. So there are so many people who plan weddings by getting in touch with DMCs. I do the same, but I always feel in your first wedding, if you're able to understand the local vendors on your own, you're able to understand that market from the scratch. That how does the sound work? How does the flowers work? How do the decor? So everything like that. So I think it's a hand in hand of both. You can't really do it without a ground support as well, but your knowledge about that place needs to be equally apt enough for you to organize a wedding there.
Last question, and then we'll just pass the mic there, Sanket.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is my first experience to attend any travel trade show in India. I'm Hina Sampath from US, Horizon Travel, Dallas, Texas. And we do a lot of wedding planning in Caribbean and cruise weddings. So people from Los Angeles and San Francisco come here and do weddings. But I heard one thing, because they don't want to do in a Bangalore or crowded city. Recently, I was in Pachmari, Madhya Pradesh, and I've seen the weddings. I have two questions. Which are the destinations for the people who are coming from abroad without little bit hectic traffic of India, where we can do it, and how you help us? Do I need to connect my client directly with you, or do I need to involve my staff with you, or myself with you? How much manpower we need it? We can explain you the whole requirement of our client, but do they need to personally come and meet you? Because in Caribbean, we take a couple to that place, show them everything, and their management takes care of everything. We get our commissions. So here, how we do it and where we do it.
I would like Devanshi to answer one part and Karan. So the way I get it, there's an international travel agent who's very strong with the Indian community. We presume ma'am is a very big concern. Are you a Gujarati ma'am? Yes. So she's got a lot of Gujarati clients who would love to come to India. Right. And okay. Nice.
We know more Bollywood than Shah Rukh Khan.
Yeah. So the question is, here is a NRI travel agent. Great. So there's an NRI travel agent whose clients, actually exactly what you said, they want to come to India but they're just scared. They don't know how to go about it. How do they work with an India-based planner? One part of the question can be answered by Devanshi and the second part by Karan.
So definitely yes. I mean, India, we've got a lot of lovely planners and kind of couple's vision that they have, and who matches their kind of vision in terms of planning, in terms of in wedding planning in India. And you can definitely connect them to the planners. The planners will then take them out to look for the venues that they are looking for in terms of recce, exactly the way you do in Caribbean.
Those people will not visit India, so can you show them on a webinar, FaceTime, something like that, right?
Yeah. So most of the planners already have an idea of a lot of venues in India, a lot of hotels, what would match their criteria. So they kind of, let me give you an example. Like personally, when an NRI client comes to me, I give them like about 10 options which matches their idea of wedding. Then they would shortlist that. Then we will kind of speak to the hotel on their behalf that we've got a couple inquiry and they would love to have your venue as their wedding venue. Is when they respond to us, we start getting in touch with the client. If they're planning to come to India, we take them for a recce. If not, we make sure that the venue, the person who's a dedicated event person at the hotel is also doing the video call with them. So we do that over a conference. Like it's as comfortable as it could get for the couple who's not even in India. Like all of us would have managed that in the past for an NRI couple.
So being a travel agent, my job is to connect them with you.
Yes.
Without involving more people from my end.
Yes, because we will anyways have a lot of back-end forces here.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
And if I can add to that, for planners, I think planners love NRI clients, so they find it very difficult because when you have an NRI client, they leave it all to them, or they just don't understand how things work in India. So they will have the most difficult time.
No, Indian clients are the best.
So I'll tell you two things. I have experience with working a lot of clients from the US, and I've actually worked with a planner from the US for weddings in India, so I've done both. I think it's very important to have one point of contact and one sort of brain working behind it. Because what I see is what, say, American planners are used to, Indians do it very differently. Like they'll do an entire wedding with 4 people. We need a whole team. So I mean, it's very different. I mean, there's a difference in cultures, a different understanding, difference in the way weddings are run in India. Hotels are set up. Internationally, hotels are self-sufficient. The guest experience is different. Here, you need a team to support the hotel groups. So I mean, the whole idea is very different. It's important to have one point of contact. I think that's very important. The second is, I think, just continuing with technology. I think one of the biggest, 80% of our clients are NRI. So I think what we managed to do is just over calls, we still manage to get the same value of quality of interaction as you do in person. Although obviously there's certain things that can't be replicated, but at least in terms of functional work. And so a lot of the clients that we work with, they visit India twice or once, and everything is done within that business. We line everything up, we pre-plan everything, line everything up, they come and see it, close it, and then go back. So I mean, it's quite as a process.
I think we're done. It's now time for the next session. Thank you, everyone. I request all the panelists to come forward for a photo. Yeah, sure.